Hey, Trucked Up guys and gals, so much for EV trucks being on their way out. Why? Well, we've got a whopping number of EV trucks already available, just around the bend, or in the making. We've had so many announcements in 2024 and 2025 on new trucks, trims, packages, and wilder concepts that we've reached a point where we need to truly put into perspective just how many EV truck options are going to be available for trucked up folk like you and me in 2025 and beyond. So get the abacus out because it's time to add them all up and get totally trucked up. Hey, and starting in July, I'll be adding one exclusive piece of content for my amazing Patreon community, along with early releases of all my videos. So don't miss out. For the price of a cup of coffee every month, you'll be able to help this channel out tremendously, and I'm going to give you something in return. So click on the link in the description below, and thank you again to my amazing Patreon family for helping make this channel happen. I'm not going to include all the defunct EV trucks or those being dragged out of bankruptcy because we'd be here forever. For those looking for news on Canoe, Landex, formerly known as Lordstown Endurance, Atlas Motors, the Atlas XT, Nikola Badger, and others, I'll provide a link at the end of this video and in the description below to a video I did on all of those. I'm also not including any EV trucks or what are called EV trucks that are actually E-Revs or series hybrids at this point unless a pure EV variant is offered. Additionally, any EV truck that is currently not planned for North America also won't make the cut. Starting in alphabetical order has us jumping in with Alpha Motors and its Wolf pickup truck. This is one of the most speculative companies on this list, along with another long shot we'll discuss later. But founder and CEO Edward Lee has his sights already set. He said that although mass production financing is not yet in place and has to be raised from the equity market, we know what's happened there, everyone's gun shy with EV startups, but still Lee disclosed that the company is already in a stage of very low volume production. So all hope is not lost for Alpha Motor Corporation yet. With over 80,000 reservations, there's a definite interest. However, keep in mind, those numbers are not that secure because Alpha Motor Corporation doesn't require a deposit. It's more of an expression of interest. So who knows how many of those purchase intentions will actually convert. The Wolf has all the fixings that many lovers of compact adventure trucks have been waiting for and craving. What becomes apparent the moment that you look at this design is that the Wolf is meant to play and go off the beaten track, but it is also incredibly flexible, simple. And although we have heard from literally every car company about a modular interchangeable platform where multiple vehicle configurations can simply be dropped on top of it, none have actually executed that to any real scale. Will Alpha be the first? Well, we'll have to wait and see. According to their website, consumers will have a myriad of choices for truck configurations in the future, both consumer and commercial driven. But the primary Wolf models are for the standard single cab with rear-wheel drive, the dual motor Wolf Plus, and the Super Wolf crew cab. In 2023, Alpha Motors went so far as producing a working prototype that it took people out to experience and has also shown it off around the world. It was at auto shows as well as featuring it at SEMA in 2024. Here's what we know to date. The base Wolf trim will have an estimated range of 250 to 275 miles on the single motor rear-wheel drive, with an optional dual motor all-wheel drive. 0 to 60 acceleration is expected to be between 4.2 and 4.8 seconds, depending on the motor package, and will have a towing capacity of around 1,360 kilograms or 3,000 pounds, so not much. The single cab truck bed measures 1,828 millimeters, which would be 6 feet, which harkens back to the 6-foot and 8-foot beds of compact trucks back in the 80s and 90s. The Wolf Plus features clamshell suicide rear doors, reminiscent of the old Rangers. An estimated range in the neighborhood of 285 miles, standard dual motor all-wheel drive, and a 0 to 60 time of 5.9 seconds. It will offer a much more robust towing capacity than the single cab at 3,050 kilograms or 6,724 pounds. That's getting better. That's in kind of that Tacoma zone. Some of the bed length has to be sacrificed to accommodate for those back row seats, however, bringing it down to 16,052 millimeters or 65 inches overall. But Alpha has come up with a very robust and economically viable, in my view, kind of bed extender. And it's like a concept. I haven't seen this used on other trucks, but I'm looking at it thinking it was kind of reminiscent of Canoe. I think it's awesome, because you can get yourself to an 8-foot or 10-foot bed if this thing works well. The Wolf Plus seats 4. It's going to be a tight fit in the back, not a lot of leg room, but at least they're not like those fold-down jump seats I had in my Ranger. The Super Wolf is forecast with an estimated range of over 325 miles, 520 kilometers, with dual-motor all-wheel drive, and can go from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. But what's even nicer is a towing capacity is starting to get up there now. It's at 3,855 kilograms. That's 8,500 pounds. Not bad for a compact. Alpha has provided us with 0 off-road specs yet. We also don't have payload numbers on any of these trims. Things are still far too vague for the average trucked-up folk to really get a feel for whether this truck belongs in their driveway or not, or if it will ever get there. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Let's move on to C. There's no B's. Bye-bye Bollinger. But we do have a C, and that's Chevrolet. And they, on the other hand, have been very busy with the Ultium battery platform and have rolled out the largest choice of EVs in America. In the truck segment, that's the Silverado EV. But what's more important is that Chevy went all in on addressing the elephant in the room when it comes to truck folk claiming EV trucks won't work for them. Chevy took a very different approach than all the other OEMs. More importantly, it set out to overcome the more challenging towing range. No other manufacturer has hit this head on, but to do so with current tech basically requires a freaking boatload of batteries. But Chevy didn't flinch, knowing that battery tech was accelerating at such a rate that over time, weight and cost would come down, and battery density would go up. So they just stepped up and did it. That leap of faith and some brilliant engineering has paid off. And like GM is known for, there's already a mind-boggling number of trims and variants. So to ensure this video isn't hours long, I'm going to give a range of specs rather than breaking down, each detail per trim. First, we've got the trimmed down bare bones versions known as work truck or WT trims. But don't let the name fool you. There are so many standard bells and whistles that you won't feel left out in buying one of these less costly battery behemoths. None of these are cheap. Next up is the LT trim, and the newly added Trail Boss tops the list. The top RST trim is now gone. Overall, most of the trims have optional battery pack sizes to choose from, going from standard to extended to max range packs, with a range stretching from 283 miles or 455 kilometers to 493 miles or 793 kilometers. That top number is on par with most gas pickups. Fast charging starts at 220 kilowatts on standard range models, bumped to 300 kilowatt speeds for extended range, and flies at 350 kilowatts for max range models. When home charging, the WT and LT models get standard 11.5 kilowatt capable internal onboard level 2 charging inside the vehicle, with an optional 19.2 kilowatt capability. We're going to talk about that in the future. That's an important thing. 19.2 should be a standard, but we'll get into that in a future video. But the big story here is towing. The Silverado EV is the current undisputed frickin' champion, with nothing but its GM siblings coming close to matching it. Starting at a paltry 10,000 pounds. Yeah, I'm being cheeky. That's 4,536 kilograms. Chevrolet claims it will at some point introduce a max tow package of up to 20,000 pounds or 9,072 kilograms, making this thing an absolute towing beast. Currently, the top towing capacity is 12,500 pounds, but that is the industry EV truck leader by quite a lot. In numerous tests already conducted in real-world scenarios, towing the max capacity over 300 miles on a single charge is not only doable, but commonly beaten. Now, where it was a bit weak in the past was in its payload capacity. The best any of the trims could muster was 1,800 pounds or 816 kilograms in the base WT version, but averaged between 1,300 and 1,440 pounds for the rest of them. However, the new Trail Boss steps up and fixes that, listing its maximum payload capacity at 2,100 pounds or 953 kilograms. It also fixes the Silverado EV's poor image of being only a fair-weather pavement princess, adding 2 inches of higher clearance, off-road tires, while keeping the four-wheel steering and mid-gate. Chevy obviously wanted to change the narrative. Better approach and departure angles, front skid plate and body underbelly armor, real tow hooks. Wow. A unique trail mode, along with 35-inch rubber, doesn't hurt either. Before its arrival, Silverado EV was not a capable off-roader, with no dedicated mode, and actually even stated in its owner manual not to drive it off the pavement. So much for that. The big features that put Silverado EV in the headlines was its four-wheel steering, mid-gate, crab walk or sidewinder feature, along with adjustable air suspension. But in 2026, other than the Trail Boss, air suspension and four-wheel steering have been dropped. The mid-gate's never been available in the work truck versions, but you can get it in the others. If you'd like to see more on the Silverado EV and really dive into it deeper, I'll provide a link to that video in the description below. The next one is by far the most speculative startup, along with its exciting, if not highly questionable, specs and features. And that's the EdisonFuture EF1-T. It was first publicly revealed in October of 2021 at the Los Angeles Auto Show, along with a van configuration. It is a California subsidiary of China's SPI Energy Company, founded in 2016, which is a global renewable energy company that mostly just develops, builds, and manages huge solar projects, and has also now set up a presence in the EV space through another arm known as Phoenix EV. But the reveal of this thing was 4 years ago, and we haven't heard much since. However, the site is still up, and the California-based company is still active and accepting reservations. Needless to say, look at this thing. It's freaking huge. Quite frankly, it makes a Cybertruck look like a toddler's Hot Wheels. The company plans to offer 3 trim levels of this thing: standard, premium, and super. What's really unique and what makes this thing so gargantuan is that every trim intends to offer a much coveted standard 6.5-foot bed, expandable to 8 feet, something no other EV truck company has done. Even better, this thing converts into some kind of freaking alien solar armadillo. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. Look at this. Forget the Cybertruck vault. The EF1-T has a retractable solar shell that helps offset range loss by continuously feeding the batteries, whether driving or parked, and also creating better aerodynamics when you're driving, and a protected bed space far more robust and multifunctional than a typical tonneau cover or topper. The standard model is a single motor that's supposedly good for 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds and a claimed range of up to 300 miles or 483 kilometers. It also claims 7,500 pounds or 3,400 kilograms of towing capacity. The premium is a step up. It gets an extra motor and an estimated 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds and 380 miles or 612 kilometers of range. It has a towing capacity of 9,000 pounds or 4,083 kilograms. The Super is planned as a tri-motor monster with a 0 to 60 time of 3.9 seconds, 450 miles or 724 kilometers of range, with a maximum towing capacity of 11,000 pounds or 4,990 kilograms. There's no payload numbers disclosed by the company on any of the trim levels. That's about all we can get as far as details so far. Now, I would have actually discounted this as mostly a vaporware concoction that's done. It's dead on arrival. But in February of 2025, that other arm of SPI Energy called Phoenix EV, well, it announced the formation of EdisonFuture International to be set up in Hong Kong. The company, in no uncertain terms, declared it is looking to establish broader international markets away from directly in the United States, likely in response to the tariffs and investment roadblocks for Chinese companies or subsidiaries. In any case, this breathes a new life into the whole project, so who knows? Next up is my truck. It's the Lightning. Ford came out swinging in 2022 with a great product that is by far the most traditional, functional truck of the bunch so far. But the company hasn't done much since. You know, we all heard about this T3 project. I did a video on that, was very excited about the future for that, and then everything kind of just fizzled. We're not hearing anything about it these days. The F-150 Lightning has managed to regain its title in 2025 as the best-selling EV truck, but as this list reveals, it is facing stiff competition from multiple fronts. Ford hasn't really done much in trying to also offer more flexible variants or packages, and has for the most part just stuck to the original design other than the addition of like the Flash. No off-road Raptor-like variant, no single cab, no long box, nothing exciting other than it's the Lightning. Still, it is a well-rounded truck, and it fits more into that utilitarian category and also is able to capitalize on accessing all or most of the aftermarket accessories, including Ford product that already exists for the gas F-150. The base model Pro is available for consumer purchase here in Canada, but only as a standard range variant, but isn't offered on the Ford.com consumer site in the US other than if you go to the Pro site for fleet. And I think in the United States, they'll even let fleets get away with an extended battery. However, the important thing on the Pro is this. It's by far the most inexpensive EV truck currently out there. For what you get, it is quite shocking how little you actually pay. In fact, the Pro just puts the boots to anyone claiming EV trucks are too expensive. In Canada, the Pro, it's got the auto frunk, it's got 2 motors, it's got everything. Before fees, it's $59,995 Canadian. That's $43,695 US. And that's before any kind of incentive or business rebate program. Your trim options in Canada are the Pro and XLT, both now only available in Canada in standard range. The Flash neatly fits between the XLT and the more luxurious trims above it, having the extended range battery as standard. And the top 2 trims are the Lariat and the super luxurious Platinum model. But Ford did something a little sneaky in 2025 that you should know about with your Flash. My 2024 has the same 320-mile range as other extended range options, that's 515 kilometers. But Ford quietly lowered the pack from a usable 131 kilowatt hours to 122 kilowatt hours and switched to LFP batteries from NCM batteries in 2025, lowering its range to 300 miles or 483 kilometers. Shh, don't tell anyone. Come on. Really? Obviously, it wasn't widely broadcast by Ford because most dealerships haven't even updated their sites or specs, and many of them still show the Flash at 320 miles of range. Maybe they should look on the window sticker. Overall, there's no overcoming its lower range compared to other EV truck offerings that are currently available or coming. But buyers need to weigh in, literally, the cost versus the battery pack size when choosing their brand. But where the Lightning lags in range, it makes up for in functionality and value. It has a 5.5-foot bed and currently the largest frunk out there, able to hold 400 liters or up to 400 pounds or 181 kilograms, and fully automatic in every trim. The frunk's 2.4 kilowatt Pro power on board is standard in every trim, while a 7.2 kilowatt onboard bank in the bed with a 30 amp 240 volt plug is optional on Pro and XLT and standard on the others. Its bed handles slightly more payload than Chevy and GM products, but still not stellar. It ranges from 1,656 to 2,235 pounds, or 750 to 1,000 and change in kilograms. Towing starts at 5,000 pounds or 2,268 kilograms in the standard range Pro, up to a maximum of 10,000 pounds or 4,536 kilograms when equipped with the extended range battery and the max trailer tow package. Although only an inch or 2 more in clearance and only nominally better approach and departure angles than the Silverado EV, it does have an off-road mode and a rear locking differential, unlike the former. And trust me on this one, it makes a big difference if you're doing a lot of forestry roads. Welcome to my world. Now, we're at the letter G, so I guess we're off to GMC, which has taken the Ultium platform and produced 2 EV trucks. The first, of course, was the gargantuan monster Hummer EV, and this was a more decadent showcase to see just how far one could push the limits and how many insane things one could stuff into a truck. So if you're wanting affordability, what the heck are you doing looking at this thing? GM pretends to offer an affordable trim. But really? This thing starts at $99,000 US for the 2X trim, 2-motor, and then runs up to $107,145 for the 3X. And that's all before you start adding all the cool but completely nuts option packages. If you go with the little Hummer, you'll be limited to a measly 570 horsepower from your smaller battery pack. I use that term very loosely. And that's with your new ride weighing a little under 9,000 pounds and only able to go 311 miles on a charge. The 3X tri-motor will launch you from 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds, stretch your frickin' lips over your face with its 1,000 horsepower, and travel 381 miles on a charge while crushing anything it drives over at almost 5 tons. The big boy also has an optional extreme off-road package, as if nothing in this truck needs to be called frickin' extreme, but it is. And that includes locking differentials, an insane number of camera angles. It's got a crawl and extraction mode, crab walk, 4-wheel steering, 35-inch mud terrain tires, and upgraded axles. Choosing it, however, will drop the range to 359 miles or 578 kilometers. If you actually decide to tow with this barn with wheels, some things to keep in mind. 12,000 pound towing capacity is amazing. It's available, but only if you opt for the 570 horsepower dual motor option. The tri-motor drops that down between 7,500 and 8,500 pounds, depending on the battery pack and whether that extreme off-road package was on your shopping list. But this is a moving fridge, okay? Its range plummets when towing. Also, you'll need an international airport runway distance to stop, being its braking is not known for its stellar response. That odor you smell braking downhill towing your camper, yeah, your brakes are likely smoking like a Cuban martini and cigar bar. Like all of GM's EV truck products, this thing charges lightning fast. Sorry for it, actually faster than lightning. The second GM offering is the Silverado's sibling, the GMC Sierra EV. At first, there was only the elegant Denali trim, but now offers several. Like the Silverado, the Sierra also now offers an off-road oriented trim, almost identical to the specs of the Trail Boss, called the AT4. And then we have lastly the base trim, which is known as the Elevation trim. Both are similar in specs, with the Sierra only slightly higher than Silverado EV at 760 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque. But unlike its sibling, the Sierra EV will be keeping an available air ride suspension and 4-wheel steering option. However, if you're wanting top towing, payload, and range specs, you'll be better off sticking to the Silverado EV. The Denali Edition 1 can tow up to 10,500 pounds. Not 12,000, and has a payload capacity of only 1,350 pounds and a maximum range of 400 miles. Not shabby at all, and beating the doors off of the Lightning in every category but payload. Again, it depends on what you want to use your truck for. Sierra EV is definitely the more refined and luxurious, but you'll pay for it. The starting price ranges from $64,495 US for the base Elevation standard range to almost $101,000 US for the max range Denali. Next up is Hyundai, and we now know the company has plans to build its first EV truck as a midsize, according to the company itself. Details are very scant. I don't have photographs. We don't have anything other than some renderings that have been done on AI, but this is what we know so far. There are strong indications that an Ioniq T10 concept is in development. Its underpinnings will be more traditional body-on-frame than its Santa Fe type architecture and will include multiple motor configurations and a target towing capacity of around 8,800 pounds. So that's pretty freaking good. And a range in the neighborhood of 400 miles. Leaks from sources within Hyundai imply a late 2026 rollout. However, where the truck will be sold remains unclear, and some speculation is that the primary market is not North America. We don't know, but it looks like it could be Australia and South America, and not the US at all. As I learn more, so will you. But I want to throw it in there because something's up. But that brings us to Hyundai's sister company, Kia, where a little bit more information is known about its planned foray into the US market with a confirmed full-size pickup. Kia has hinted that it will be built at its Georgia plant, which seems to fit well into the current U.S. tariff regime. and would save the company a lot of import headaches. It's pretty clear Kia plans to go directly after the Lightning. Details are again incredibly slim, but it is no longer mere rumor. Kia is developing a new platform that seems exclusively designed for more robust applications. During Kia's CEO Investor Day, the company revealed it will be introducing 2 new pickup trucks by 2027, one of which will be a strategic model tailored specifically for the US and Canadian markets. Here is what Kia released in its statement. Quote, Kia plans to introduce an EV pickup truck based on a new EV platform designed for both urban and outdoor use. The vehicle will feature best-in-class interior and cargo space, a robust towing system, off-road capabilities, and advanced infotainment and safety features. The indication is that Kia plans to build the truck in the United States and not for other markets, based on its overtly aggressive target statement about the volume, set at a lofty target of 90,000 units a year, something no other EV truck has even been able to accomplish to date. And there's only one market big enough to handle that, and that's the United States. We do know that it will not be based on the polarizing and controversial Tasman truck that came out, and will be targeting the mid-size to full-size segment. Again, they're saying they're going to build 2 of these things. Outside of Kia's confirmation, the company is keeping its cards very close to its chest. You know, there's a lot of skunkwork stuff going on there, so everyone can get that little upper edge. So things are just kept tight until that last moment. Will it be, some kind of carryover from its amazing recently released PV5 van in a pickup, or, like the Weekender concept, able to be widely configured in the same way as the now defunct Canoe had planned to do? We have yet to see any official images released by Kia or any specs, but based on Kia's architecture, we know we can expect the same 350 kilowatt fast charging speeds, likely lower weight than GM's EV truck products, but comparable range due to Kia's dedication to efficiency and weight reduction. But in any case, we're assured at this point that Kia is moving ahead. Troubled Nissan, not so sure about. It teased us back in 2022 with their Surf Out EV truck concept, and teamed up with Mitsubishi in 2024 and was supposed to produce a joint venture EV truck as well. But all of that might now be on hold, especially since the joint venture was to be manufactured out of Mexico for the American market. That might not work out so well anymore. The timeline was targeted between 2027 and 2031. So that's like claiming you'll build some pie-in-the-sky passenger spaceship, to visit Mars by 2030. I mean, who in their right mind would do something as stupid and preposterous as that? There's been no official announcement that either development has been scrapped, but the future doesn't look as rosy for either of these projects. But the big 2025 EV truck story has to be Ram, not because of what's rolling off the assembly lines right now, but because of what isn't. By now, we were supposed to already be driving the pure EV Ram 1500 REV, or at least the EREV Ram charger, but both have been pushed back again and again. Originally, the REV, the pure EV, was to hit the streets in early 2024, followed by the Ram charger in 2025. Ram later flipped that around, only to miss those deadlines as well. Here we are, still with nothing. There's even speculation that Ram will dump the whole initiative, citing some problems with the Ram charger design, tariff issues that make importing the massive battery packs a problem, or far too expensive. I don't know. I don't fully agree. I think they're going to continue on with something, especially now that there's rumors that Stellantis has an EV version of the Rubicon, the Jeep Rubicon, being planned. But I think it will keep delaying and delaying until the EV landscape changes enough for it to saddle the risk, because its parent company Stellantis is not doing well and has some serious duds in the market of late by not innovating rapidly enough. Even its Jeep division's falling back, its Ram truck sales are falling back. It seems to be the case yet again with its North American EV offerings. The Ram Standard Range REV is slated for 2027 currently, with the extended range option delayed indefinitely, while the Ram Charger has been bumped for the 3rd time and is now scheduled for release sometime in 2026. Here are the Ram REV 1500 standard range specs. The REV has an anticipated range of 350 miles. And there's been some back and forth on charging speeds, but the general consensus is the truck will match GM at 350 kilowatt. It plans to beat everyone on the market as far as towing capabilities. Ram's promising 14,000 pounds in this first model, or 6,350 kilograms. The payload capacity is on par with the best among the existing EV trucks that we haven't got into yet, coming in at 2,625 pounds, or 1,191 kilograms. And not to be outdone by the record-breaking Ford Lightning, Ram claims the largest frunk on the planet at 15 cubic feet or 425 liters versus Ford's 400 liters. Next is an EV truck holding a title that can never be toppled in that it beat everyone to market, including Tesla, Ford, and GM, and just so happened to be a startup doing it, which of course is the Rivian R1T. The grand pappy on the block, delivering its first unit on September 28th, 2021, still looks fresh and bold even after all this time. Unlike the Hummer in weight and agility, it's not far off in matching its price. This is definitely in the luxury segment, and the interior with costly wood grains and premium fabrics speaks volumes to what is about to happen to your bank account if you buy this thing. But it is one capable ride. It has proven itself a formidable off-road capable machine while handling the asphalt like a premium sports sedan. Sadly, it has no solid axles or locking diffs, and these issues, along with its independent suspension, have been shown to work against it off-road in the dual motor variant sometimes. There are dual, tri, and quad motor variants, as well as standard, extended, and max battery packs. The base dual motor setup provides 533 horsepower or 610 pound-feet of torque. The performance dual motor option boosts this to 665 horsepower and 829 pound-feet of torque, and the tri-motor configuration delivers 850 horsepower and a whopping 1,103 pound-feet of torque, while the quad motor version offers the highest output at 1,025 horsepower or 1,198 pound-feet of torque, which you can't currently buy. They're only listing up the tri on the site here in Canada. Haven't checked if it's the same in the United States. But if it's equipped with that quad motor powertrain, the R1T can achieve a 0 to 60 time of under 3 seconds. According to Inside EVs, some tests have even recorded times as low as 2.6 seconds for a truck. I know, it's crazy. Towing is nothing to sneeze at either, beating the Lightning at 11,000 pounds or 4,990 kilograms. Payload is also a decent number at 1,765 pounds or 800 kilograms, but is one of the smallest beds at only 4.5 feet. Many consider the R1T more of an adventure-oriented play truck rather than, more capable or traditional truck for that functionality. With 2026 pricing now out, starting with the dual standard at $70,990, the dual large battery at $77,990, the dual max battery at $85,000, and the tri max battery at closing in on $101,000. With a forthcoming price and availability on the quad motor not yet even out, I tend to agree. It's not something I want to load up with bricks. It'd be like taking a Bentley to a demolition derby. The first of 2 EV trucks that has created such media buzz. First one is Scout Motors, the Terra. I did a full video comparing this truck to the Ram Charger, but Scout's original design only offered a pure EV truck and SUV, and later added the Harvester E-Rev variants to both models. I personally prefer the EV version for a number of reasons. The first is it's got 350 miles or 563 kilometers. That's nothing to sneeze at and fine for me. It's better than many EV trucks on this list. Secondly, going E-Rev means giving up half the towing capacity. I like the sounds of 10,000 pounds much more than 5,000. But most importantly, with the right equipment, stick around for my next video on this, both Scout and the Rivian R1T will have no problem going the distance overlanding or off-roading. And yes, that's where this truck shines. If you're a Jeep Rubicon guy or a Bronco kind of player, but want an electric option, you just found it. This rock-crawling beauty is made to work and play. The Terra has a full body-on-frame chassis, but uniquely designed for perfect weight distribution while still matching most modern full-size EV pickups with a 5.5-foot bed. It offers onboard power, front and back, both 120 and 240 volt, some of the best approach and departure angles out there while boasting over a foot of standard ground clearance. It's got mechanical front and rear locking diffs on solid axles, robust suspension with an optional air package, front roll bar disconnect, and 35-inch off-road tires, and able to ford water up to 1 meter or 3 feet deep, and that's the stock version. Add in a low crawl mode and a dual motor 4-wheel drive powertrain projected to produce up to 1,000 pound-feet of torque. While the exact horsepower figures haven't been officially released, the Terra is estimated to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds. It's also being built on a smart 800-volt architecture, which means very short charge times since it's capable of 350 kilowatt. Payload is being targeted somewhere around 2,000 pounds, so this thing's a truck. It's standing up as a truck, but also a great off-roader. Scout Motors is in the advanced stage of building out its South Carolina manufacturing plant and is expected to be delivering the first trucks in 2027. The second of the most talked about upcoming EV trucks has to be the Slate. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel by deep diving into this, as I've already done a full video on it right here. So if you want to check that out, nitty-gritty details, please visit that video. It's all there for you. But it's important to know what Slate's all about. Slate's mission is to strip down a compact truck to the bare essentials and make it an affordable, highly configurable vehicle for everyone that just so happens to be an EV and just so happens to be a truck, and then make an entire business out of accessorizing it, much like Harley-Davidson has done so successfully. And it's rather ironic that the executive chairman at Slate Auto happens to be Rodney Copes, who headed up sales and other key marketing positions at Harley-Davidson for like over 2 decades. The Slate is a single cab that can be converted to a 2-door, 4-seater compact SUV in a matter of hours. It comes as a single electric motor only, and its sole optional package that you can order when you buy it, when it's booked, is its battery pack size of either standard range 150 miles or an extended pack at 240 miles. The entire truck, right down to the manual window handles and zero radio or speakers, is in the form of accessories. You can basically kit out your truck as your budget allows. The bed is only 5 feet and it's too narrow for 4x8s, without like putting the tailgate down and some sort of support box underneath between the wheel wells. But it's cute, relatively cheap, or not. Watch my video on that. And supposedly coming to market by late 2026. This startup looks like it's well-financed and backed by some great engineers, auto experts, and bigwigs like Jeff Bezos, that name's knocking around with the Slate truck like you wouldn't believe. Unlike so many failed startups before it, this one will likely make it to market at least. Up next on the list are actually 2 auto companies that I'm going to treat as one. Subaru has just teased that the Brat might be back, but as an EV, in collaboration with Toyota. In fact, these are so tightly linked, I'm grouping them together because Subaru's EV trucks and Toyotas are going to be the same thing, just with a different badge. The Brat will almost certainly be utilizing a mirror platform to what Toyota plans to use for its Stout EV. We got Scout and Stout. Sounds like you're getting drunk and you're short. Much like the companies did with a BZ4X and the Solterra, and they're exactly the same vehicle, just different badging and interiors. They're the same damn thing. However, things are so vague, and Toyota's new EPU platform is hybrid-based. So we have no way of knowing at this point if Toyota will actually commit to full EV platforms, get with the times, or keep backpedaling to its profit-rich hybrid same old strategy. So this is still in the world of nebulous ether. We are nearing the end of the list. So don't forget right now, send in your pictures of your EV truck or you wearing your trucked up attire that you can purchase right down below. Send them to the email in the description below and I'll get them posted in an upcoming video. Big one here, one of my favorites, Telo. It has to be really the truck I'm most intrigued about. It's just this little truck startup, and when I say little, I mean it. How about Mini Cooper little? This truck is only 152 inches or 289 centimeters long, about the same as a 2-door Mini Cooper. And somehow still manages to be a 4-door crew cab with a 5-foot bed that is extendable thanks to a drop-down midgate to 8 feet, and then there's a tailgate. You could load this thing up. And under it is a Rivian gear tunnel under the bed, along with real functional utility truck numbers. This tiny little guy not only has a stupidly tight turning radius, it can haul up to 2,000 freaking pounds and has a towing capacity of 6,600 pounds. I mean, look at it. It can scoot around along for ages. It could go zipping around all over the place, 350 miles or 563 kilometers on a single charge. You can choose between a single and dual motor option. There's no frunk because, there's no front, which turns out to be one of my biggest concerns with this truck, because what I'm seeing with the exposed front tires, no integrated bumper, that could be a serious NHTSA, the NHTS, I hate acronyms. You know what I'm talking about, the safety people. I think that's a big no-no. I'm not sure how this thing will make it to road legal production using the current design. But I imagine Telo already knows all this stuff. They're already all over it. They might even try to get some kind of, a variance to the rules. Who knows? In the end, what's its hope for survival? What's the chance that we're going to get one of these things in the driveway? Well, CEO Jason Marks is not even going down the incredibly costly mass production highway, at least not at first, and is instead taking an incredibly cost-efficient, pragmatic approach to getting this thing off the ground, and has already set up a low volume production company to take care of that production in California named Aria that will produce the first runs. Kind of sounding similar to Alpha Motors at the beginning. Remember that Telo clearly states that this was designed specifically for tight streets and limited parking in urban areas. This is basically a Mini with a full bed and has Tacoma specs and Tesla range. Speaking of Tesla, I guess that brings us to the big one, the most polarizing EV truck on the market today, and by far probably the most controversial. It was rolled out in 2019 as a truck killer with the slogan, this was the slogan on the site, better when you went to order it, better utility than a truck with more performance than a sports car. Not an EV truck, any truck. Well, that didn't come to pass, but we've got to be fair here. We've now gone through this whole list. The truck specs on the Cybertruck are still really good. Even though the original claim was for a 6.5-foot bed, it still pulled off a 6-foot bed and is a full 4 feet wide. So it works well for hauling plywood and drywall and doing construction stuff, both better than Ford, Rivian, and GM. It also beats them, all of them, in payload. It didn't achieve its target that it came out with of 3,500 pounds or 1,588 kilograms, but it did get above the competition with a robust 2,500 pounds or 1,134 kilograms with a roll-down lockable tonneau cover that Tesla named the Vault. Its towing capacity also completely missed the mark of, I think it was 14,000 it wanted, but it still matches most other EV trucks at 11,000 pounds or 4,990 kilograms. Where the real disappointment came, however, was with its range. Cybertruck was supposed to be the range king. It was supposed to force everyone else to catch up, and it's not even close. It barely matches the Lightning. The dual motor achieves only 5 miles more than the Lightning at 325 miles or 523 kilometers, while the tri-motor Cyberbeast drops to 300 miles or 483 kilometers. That's on par with the Platinum Lightning, and everything else is above it. But here's the thing. Like the Hummer EV, the Cybertruck is a showcase of what's possible. But Tesla leaned into the tech side of things rather than the behemoth towing super truck side of things, which might or might not have hurt its popularity with traditional truck folk. It didn't necessarily invent all of these things, but it was the first where all of the tech yummies were stuck into one vehicle, which is freaking amazing. Cybertruck comes with drive-by-wire, 48-volt architecture, variable steering, and four-wheel steering, along with one locking differential in the rear, air suspension, off-road modes, a crawl mode, and an extraction feature. It turns out that it's a very capable truck, but we'll see what the future holds as far as its widespread acceptance goes. That's it. Near the end of the alphabet? Well, not quite. Yeah, we've got one more that is further along in the alphabet than Tesla, and that's VinFast. Yeah, the Vietnamese company. Yeah, because I did say I would include concepts, and there is the Vinfast VF Wild. That's right, the Vietnamese brand that has had a really rough start due to many of its vehicles. It's not quite incubated enough. It was like they're still in the fetal stage. They're larva vehicles. They were great ideas, but they let them out too early, and they've earned some not so attractive press. But here's the thing. There's a possibility that it might even get into the EV truck space, revealing its concept at the Canadian International Auto Show and around the world and at CES, I think in 2024. Now, yes, it is a concept, but VinFast has been much like Hyundai and Kia by quickly turning its concepts into production vehicles with very little changes. Possibly, like I said earlier, too fast for VinFast. Maybe they should just take a little bit more time before release. But if the company keeps to that aggressive path forward, it is very likely that this mid-sized crazy pickup concept could very well make it to market. Due to the fact that it's still a concept, we have no specs from VinFast yet. The moment that changes, you'll be the first to know. And if you're holding out hope that some of those EV trucks that never made it past the finish line, that went DOA, might get revived, well, you'll want to click on this video because there's a lot more to that story than meets the eye. As always, thanks for watching.